Hello, and welcome to Tech with Hazem. In this series of videos, we're going to discuss unit testing in the Java language. And in particular, we're going to talk about a framework called JUnit 5. To get started with unit testing, I've created a very simple calculator application, which has 4 units of functionality that we can test: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I've just written this main application, this main method here to just try them out. So it's exactly what you expect. And we notice that in our divide function, there is a throw illegal argument exception if we try to divide by 0, which is illegal. What is a unit? A unit is a term that is used to describe a basic unit of functionality that your application has. So it could be a class, it could be a method. So in our application, the calculator application, it's only one class and it's got multiple methods. And so I've taken a screenshot here of the add method. That would be considered a single unit of functionality that we can write unit tests for. Tests that will examine its function. And, it's very simple. It's a plus b, and it's an add function. So it's like pretty obvious. But let's say if the function was a little bit more complicated than the return of variable a and variable b added together, then you may down the line need to update that add function or x function that you're dealing with. And when you update it, you might break the functionality. You may introduce a bug in the system or like a malfunction, basically. So the unit tests that we will write will ensure that for input A and input B, let's say 5 and 2, we'll always get 7 as a result. So let me show you how we can refactor that function and break it. I want to assume that I'm building this application for my manager. And they said this add function is really not very clear. What is A, what is B? So maybe just use better names. And I'll be like, okay, here's number 1. And here's num2. And maybe instead of returning, I could say int, there you go, sum num1 plus num2. And then I could say sout sum is, and then it'll print the sum, and then I'll return, well, instead of returning sum, what I did by mistake is I returned num1. I just didn't pay attention, and I broke the add unit within the calculator application. So what would guard against, what would be the first line of defense that will guard against me releasing that application to the users thinking that the add function is just working perfectly? And the answer would be, the first line of defense would be the unit test. I'm going to show you a quick way to add a unit test for the function or the unit add. This method works in IntelliJ, and it's not going to be the method that we're going to rely on. It's just quick and easy. And we're going to right click on the method name, and then we're going to use the generate option here to generate a test. So I'm going to select that, and then a dialog would ask me for the class name. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And the destination package, it's matching the package that we have over here, which is org.example. And it's asking me which members you want to generate test methods for. I'm just going to write, I'm just going to select add and hit OK. And it's created under because this is a Maven-based project. So in Maven-based projects, you have source and test. And this would be your production type of code, and this would be your testing code that would test the production code. So this is the actual usable code, and this is the code that tests the usable code. and I have calculator test here. And I see that it's added a method called add, and there is a play button next to it and a play button next to the whole class. So I can run that, and I see that it's run the test class and it's run the one method within that is add, and it's empty for the moment. Let's add some code that will help us test the add method. So I'm going to create a new calculator object, and I'm going to store that in a calculator object, right? And I'm going to say int sum1 equals calculator add 1 plus 2, and int sum2, for instance, 2 and 3, can make it 30, and int sum3, yeah, well, whatever. Now, what I would like to do is to have a way to verify that 1 and 2, when passed to the add, will produce 3 in sum1. So what I will say here, assert equals, I'm going to say 3 sum1. Now that's going to compare 3 and makes sure that 3 is equal to the value being returned and stored in sum1, which should be 3. Now, it's not going to be 3 because we broke it. But let's say we'll fix it for now. And we're going to do assert equals. For sum2, the value expected is 32, right? And assert equals 43. This is auto completion. So 43 for sum3. If I run this test, I should have a passing test, meaning that basically everything went okay. Now, if I change this back to returning num1 instead of the sum, and I run the test again, I'm going to get a failing test. What is the failing test saying? Well, the expected is 3, but the actual that was returned is 1, which is num1 that is being returned here. So it's complaining that you're expecting 3, but you're not getting 3. So I'm basically refactoring this function that, again, was just looked like this, right? And when it looked like this, it was working fine. You know, it was A and B and return A plus B, and it was working fine. Then I've refactored it to look like this, and I've broken it. And then before I ship the application, before I give the application to the users to start using, well, I will be able to run the suite of unit tests. Now this is one, but I can write as many as I want to test all the methods that I have within the calculator class. I can say with some level of confidence that my refactoring, my editing of the application unit did not produce a bug. So that's been the first video of the series. I hope it's given you an introduction to units and unit testing. And in the next videos, we're going to talk a little bit more about what's actually happening under the hood when we did this, and how can we write more unit tests for our calculator class, and why do we need to use a framework like JUnit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.